Trace, thank you so much for coming on the AIM podcast.
Dog, I'm pumped to be a part of this.
Man, I'm pumped too. Our good friend Nick Walker, who is a AIM podcast guest, got us connected. And the second that he's like, man, I gotta introduce you to this guy. I was like, oh, sweet. Like I always love getting connected to new people. And when he called you and you answered the phone saying, "Let's go," I was like, oh, this is my guy. I love that.
Let's go. I know. I feel like "let's go" is kind of like the phrase I say so much for literally anything, but I love it. So let's go.
Let's go. It's amazing. I do the same thing. Anytime I'm recording like a selfie story on Instagram, I always start by saying let's go. It's something that just kind of sets the temperature of the room. Like you just get to go in and just make that level high. I think it's so important. Like we were just discussing before we even started the episode. It's like I get so excited when I surround myself and meet other people that have positive energy. And I think we live in a world where that's not talked about a ton. Like people get consumed in themselves, get consumed in the hard things that we deal with, and those things are real. But like we get to choose, we get to determine the attitude that we bring to the situation. And so you have that positive attitude. I'm so grateful for it, man.
I know it's awesome. I just feel like it's so crucial to be surrounded by people who are like-minded, also just wanting to just like grow and get better. And so I'm happy to get connected with you and just keep going forward. So
Dude, I love it. Well, obviously, man, you are doing some incredible work. I love your content, your recipes. They're so fun to watch. They're entertaining, yet you're cooking up. But
cooking.
I know you have a story too, and that's the beautiful part. All people have a story. And while I'm sure there's a lot of people on this listening to this show today want to hear more about your content and your recipes and everything, we're gonna get there. But I want to peel back the layers a little bit and talk about who you are and kind of how you've gotten to this place. I'd love to hear more about your upbringing, kind of you getting into the game and what led you to this point of going and making content.
Yeah, so all my life I've really been like an athlete, just going football, wrestling, baseball, whatever sport that it was in season, I was playing it. And that was literally from the beginning. I was like till I was like 3 years old up until, graduating high school. And so obviously I do soccer, baseball, basketball, all this stuff. But during middle school, I got really and started loving wrestling. Like I went to like these camps, went to like these like intensive places, and it was like crazy. I went up to Iowa like I think for 10 days, and it was like 4 practices a day, 2 hours, just straight brutal. And there I learned a little bit about nutrition. And so like I got home and I was like top 10 healthiest foods, and I found out oatmeal was on the list. And so I was like, okay, let's go. And so at the time I was doing football, wrestling, running, and that was about it. It was just track. And so from there, I was just like, okay, I need to be a better athlete. And so I started eating oatmeal and started eating like chicken, pasta, all this stuff to become a better athlete. And I actually hated oatmeal for the longest time. I was like, this is like disgusting. I was like, what is this like Quaker stuff? Ugh. And I just throw like chocolate chips in there. But kind of fast forward about a year and a half, I decided I was like, okay, I need to actually get my nutrition dialed in. And so I started actually making more recipes this time, like using oatmeal. I started adding like vanilla extract, fruit, nut, berries, whatever, and I loved it. And so I got to the point where I started eating it like twice a day. It was like chocolate oats in the morning, and then like for dessert at night would be like some strawberry cheesecake, baked oats, something like that. And I got so obsessed with it. And it was to the point where I would just post pictures of it like to like my friends like on Snapchat. And after a while, they're like, Trace, you gotta quit with the oat pics. And so that was from like November to December of 2019. And during that, I was still wrestling. And during a tournament, I was like just wrestling. I was so in wrestling, there's this thing called a tech fall, and you get like after you get like 15 points ahead of someone, it's a tech, and then the game like the match is over. And
Mm.
so I was up by 13 points. I was just kind of like messing around, and this guy was putting in like a little half Nelson or whatever it was, and he tore my labrum. It was my left labrum, and that was during the tournament. So I was like I heard it pop. I was like, and so I had to get surgery on that, and so I really had like nothing else to do. And so that's when I was like, you know what? I'm on January 1st, 2020. I'm gonna make an Instagram account dedicated to oatmeal. And like it was literally for a meme because like all my buddies were like, yeah, dresses oats, like put on their stories. But I was like posting pictures of oatmeal like every single day. It was like I think I went through like 2.5 years that I didn't miss a single day. And but yeah, I would just basically just post my oatmeal in the morning, and then just kind of I progressively got not better, but I just started adding more fruit and then like some like little granola here and there to make it more aesthetic. And it was like that during COVID, just because during COVID it was like you didn't do anything really. So I was like, oh, I just have time just to focus on some social media content. So I'd be messing around with there. But then in October of 2020, I decided to do TikTok, and like my ninth video blew up, and it was all about oatmeal. And so I just kept the ball rolling, and here I am 4.5 years later, still making recipes and still loving oatmeal. So yeah.
Man, what a story, man. It's incredible. I love that, man. I played college basketball at Western Carolina, and during college, man, I was just dude. I started eating oatmeal every day, dude, and I would do protein powder in it. I'd do peanut butter, and I'd mix it up, and dude, it was the best. It was cheap. It was easy to make. It was filling, and it honestly just set well on my stomach as I was
Yeah.
running, training, lifting, whatever. But that's amazing that you started that way, and it's cool to hear the infancy stories of just like how things begin and obviously how they progress over time with consistency, with just so much passion that I can tell like you're not just doing this to do it. Like you have a deep desire and a passion and joy that comes with it. And I think a lot of times that's a separating factor. I think people have dreams of reaching certain levels, but they're not willing to invest that level of passion to get to the places they really want to go. And so there's like a disconnect. But that's amazing, man. I want to talk to you about starting with oatmeal specifically, like as you started to do new recipes and starting to make content, like where did these ideas come from? Were you getting inspiration from other places, or was this just stuff that you were like, hey, I just want to try something new? Like, how did you start to develop this like whole array of content?
So initially, I started posting pictures of my oatmeal like on a daily basis for fun. Like it was like, okay, I know bananas do well because you can like cut them into little like banana coins and like put them on the side, and then more than likely add a little bit of crunch because it always adds some texture. And it was just for the longest time it was me just messing around. It'd be like, okay, I did raspberries and blackberries this day. I could do banana and cacao, or just kind of going for different flavor combinations, and then like trying to make the fruit look different. And that was literally the entire for the first like 10 months. And like later I would just like look online on Pinterest, and like there was this thing where it was like leap year in 2020, and I saw this person got cut an apple up, and it looked like a frog. And so I cut up a frog in my oatmeal, and like that stuff like that. It just gives inspiration from other places like that, and obviously put my own spin. But yeah, for the like initially I really just honed in on oatmeal just because I was so obsessed with it and I couldn't stop eating it. I loved it so much. And that sounds like so ironic. Like, okay, this kid just likes oatmeal. Like, honestly, that's kind of what the vibe was for the longest time. And so it was to the point where I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do this, make posts like on this Instagram account for a year, see what happens. I'm gonna post every single day because why not? Because I mean, I feel like every kid, like I did Vine for like a year, like when I was younger, or like did like Instagram, like try to go like or do Minecraft videos. And you would like, I would like want to go viral online, but I obviously no, it had never happened. But then this point was like, okay, I'm gonna post every single day just of my oatmeal and see what happens. So I know it's crazy.
There's a big lesson there. I think you have to love it, man.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people think they love the outcome that they're striving for, but I don't think a lot of people love the work that it takes to get to that point. And so I think it's just so fascinating. We've done this show since the summer of 2020, and we've been super blessed. I think this will be episode 160 something, but like you get to hear all these incredible stories, and everyone comes from different walks. But the one common theme I feel like most of the guests have that come on the show is like they have a passion and a love for something, and they continue to press on no matter what. And success is a byproduct of loving the process and staying consistent and diligent. And it doesn't mean you're going to be this overnight success, but it means when you stay consistent and you show up and you love it and you put your heart into it and there's passion and there's realness to it, good things always happen. Good, and it's just a matter of time. The outcome is going to happen. It just depends on how long it takes, depending on different factors. But it's cool to see that for you, man. Like, was there a moment for you? Obviously, you had this love and this passion for oatmeal and making these recipes, but was there a moment from a content and a social perspective where you saw things really start to take off? Like, was there a certain recipe that crushed it, or how did that look for you? Because obviously, you've grown a massive, massive platform since you've started.
Yeah, well, thank you. it was like the first 10 months was just like I would gain like 5 followers a day, and it was almost like a game for me. I was like, let me see like how many people I can like become friends with, or let's see how many hashtags I can do. Like he's tw Instagram 2020 is completely different from Instagram 2024. But I was just kind of like grinding on social media trying to see, and I wasn't growing at all. I think from January 1st to like October, it was maybe like 6 to 7,000 followers, and sure that is a lot. But obviously, like later on, it kind of doubled and multiplied way more. But there was one video on TikTok. It was like, watch me grow out of my unaesthetic oatmeal phase. And I think people thought that was like me dressing like the color oatmeal, like, oh, you're a beige. It was funny because no one really was like liked oatmeal. And so like when that happened, people were like, what the heck? And so that video I think got like 2 to 3 million views. And then that just kind of like totally just helped get the ball rolling for all my socials. But yeah, that was the one video. And then I kind of got more into like relatable videos for a little bit, but it
Mm.
was only geared towards oatmeal, like oatmeal, all of oatmeal. So like for example, it's like when you finish your bowl of oatmeal and it'd be like something with an audio. And so it was like I was doing all this and it would do well. And so I was like, might as well just double down. So I do that as well as just like regular recipes. So
Yeah, man, that's awesome.
so
Have
weird.
you, I have to ask you, like, are there ever days where you're like, dude, I just don't want to eat oatmeal?
Okay, not anymore, but there was so I'm a big runner, and I all my entire high school I ate it literally every single day. And when I stopped running, I started bulking. And I bulked from 135 to 180 in 60
Wow.
days. Or
Wow.
90 days. 90
That's
days. Sorry,
crazy.
90. And so it was a lot. And so there I was eating, obviously when you gain that much, you're eating a lot. And I could not eat oatmeal just because the texture was messing me up. And so yeah, I that's when I stopped liking oatmeal. But now I will literally eat it a day every day. Like obviously eat it for morning in the morning, but like I'll have a snack with oatmeal like later in the day. So it's funny.
Yeah, dude, that's great. I'm sure you're aware. I was always under the impression, I still am, that oatmeal is a healthy food and it's something that is good, especially for fueling and getting a good carb source. But obviously, there have been different people on the internet who've come out and said oatmeal is bad for you. It takes away your nutrients, all this stuff. What is your kind of take on that? And I'm sure well more versed than I am on that.
To an extent, I agree with them, honestly. There are certain brands, I'm not going to call them out, but I'm sure most likely people will know the brand. They contain high levels of glyphosate, and that's just kind of like Roundup or pesticides that are in the oat. But there are other organic glyphosate-free oatmeal, like just oatmeal that you can buy, and that's completely safe. It's just that I completely understand why, because if you're getting it at such a large commodity for such cheap, there's obviously going to have some crap inside of it. But if you go the more like the organic, gluten-free, and then the glyphosate-free sprouted oatmeal, that's where the game changes. And that's where it's like, okay, because I eat it. I eat a lot of oatmeal every day. And if I'm going to be eating a lot of oatmeal, I gotta make sure this is like the best type of oatmeal. So yeah, to an extent, but like you really just need to get the organic, like sprouted oats, honestly.
Yeah,
But
that's good. That's good advice because I'll be honest, I want to get back into it. I feel like I was telling you, in college I ate it every day, and then I haven't been eating it as much recently, but I just need to get the right kind. So I'll get with you to make sure you maybe
yeah,
send me the ones to order or whatever, but we'll figure it out. I uh I love to get in to talk to you about your journey, your process, your creation. But now I want to talk about the impact that you've been able to make on real people. Like I know that you enjoy doing what you do, but I'm sure there's also a level of like, man, I'm serving, I'm entertaining, I'm helping people learn more about their health, their wellness. I'm providing these healthy alternative recipes that they can make instead of going out and making cheesecake, whatever it is, like just a straight up cheesecake, not a healthy
yeah,
oatmeal.
yeah, yeah.
But talk to me a little bit about that, man. Maybe share some stories or just some ways that you've been able to see tangible impact that you've made through your dedication and passion for what you love to do and how it's kind of fueled the fire for you.
Yeah. So just for context, I started Traces Oats on Instagram in my sophomore year of high school. My freshman year of high school, I was still wrestling, but I wrestled, and when you are wrestling, you kind of have this notion of like people cutting weight or people dropping weight as fast as possible. And I mean, you've seen UFC fighters like just go crazy. But I was wrestling and I was also running and doing cross country. And with cross country, you're already kind of at a lower body fat just because, you're running longer distances and you can't really be bigger and eating a lot like on in terms of if you're running like 16 miles a week, it's kind of hard to put on weight. So I was already thin. And going into wrestling, one of my coaches told me to drop X amount of pounds, which is obviously a lot of weight. And so through that, I got an eating disorder. And so that was honestly a huge part of my life, my testimony, and honestly, like how I can actually like how me making Trace's Oats. And so that really kind of impacted the way that I thought about things. Just kind of I've been more vocal, I guess, in the past about my eating disorder, just because I was like always counting my calories, making sure I was like burning enough calories and just doing all this stuff. And it was like an entire cycle of my entire day about like calories in, calories out, how much am I burning, and all this stuff. And so that was a huge part of my initial launch to do Traces Ocean as well. And so I've seen a lot of people, I guess, through comments and DMs just telling me like I've helped with their recovery. And obviously I can't take any credit. I'm also just another person, but me just explaining my experience and just like my personal thoughts on it. I've been really encouraged to see people saying like, oh my gosh, this is your recipes are helping me. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
Mm.
So that's been a huge thing. Another thing is like a lot of my content's more of like realistic recipes. Like I'm not making like some beef Wellington on my Instagram. Like I'm just doing some like easy snacks and just trying to make people eat healthier. That's just the whole goal because like I
Wow.
think eating healthy is great, but like even just like small tweaks like over time and like that's like the small things lead up to the large things. And so that's why I'm like, oh my gosh, if people tell me like thank you so much, you're helping me eat healthier or like asking me questions and I'm providing feedback and like insight. It's like, wow, this is encouraging because like I'm helping people on their health journey as well as just their mindset around food. Just because even just with the thoughts around food, it's like, oh, less calories is better for you. I mean, not really. I mean, think about like the nu nutrient density.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
That's dope, man. And I'm so glad to hear that you have personally grown through maybe a harder season of your life that you're now in a position where you can help so many people. I think that is one of the coolest things that we have the blessing of doing in our life is going back and serving the person we once were, the person that is now dealing with what we've dealt with and come on the other side of. And so for you to be able to do that is so encouraging, man. So keep crushing that. And I think another thing that comes to mind when we look at your content, it's like you make it fun, you make it healthy, and I know there's different recipes that are extremely affordable, and I think these are three different things that maybe there's a portion of the population don't agree that is possible with healthy food. It's like it can't be fun, it's got to be boring. It surely is not going to taste good, and it's so like that's the biggest thing. People are like healthy food is so expensive. I'm like eating out is expensive. Like
yeah, for real, bro, for
it
real.
adds up. So like the fact that you're able to accomplish those three things and just help people rewire and not only give them those things, but also explain this is why it's healthy. This is why it makes sense. And just, I don't know, man, that's such an important thing, especially in the world we live in with the US being, one of the most obese countries in the world. Like it's really sad to see that we just kind of let ourselves go. And I think there's a big lack of education, I think is a part of it. And then there's this, I don't know if people just don't understand how to do it or what the situation is, but to have someone like you in the forefront, with such a large platform to make such a large impact and such a large reach, showing people that it can taste good. It doesn't have to be insanely expensive, and you can have fun while you do it. It's so inspiring, bro.
Yeah, that is one thing. It's always really funny just because they're like, oh, I want to eat healthier, but it's like it tastes like bland chicken and rice is the only way to go, or like just apples, or like just green juices, or like, oh, if you're gonna do this, it's gonna cost $20 a meal. I mean, not if you can really work around it. Obviously, there are some things that are going to be more expensive, like oats are really cheap versus getting like some nice grass-fed steak or some, you know what I mean? But like there's always ways to kind of lower it and just be creative and scrappy. So,
Definitely, man. That's awesome. I want to talk to you about your testimony though in a little more depth because I know getting to know you offline, you're a believer and that's amazing. I'm so encouraged by that. And I want to know how that has kind of intertwined with your story and the way you look at content, the way you make content, the way you are driven and how your faith has played a part in your journey as well.
yeah. So initially I started social media for just pure vanity. I was like, I just want to grow this as fast as possible, as large as possible, because I want to. And that was like the entire thing. And obviously, like I live in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm in the Bible Belt. I know of Jesus. I always said I was a Christian, but it was never like my actions and my ways were not like that. And
Mhm.
so throughout the entire process of 2020 to like 2021-ish, or yeah, around there, I was just kind of like, okay, whatever, I can do whatever I want. I can grow this. I can do just basically whatever I want. And so whenever I was getting more, I guess, like popular online, it really got in my head. And I was like, I thought that I was like this hot shot. And actually, sorry, it was 2020 to 2022 is whenever I was like just pure vanity. But it was like the thing was, it's all about was like just pure growth. And I'm not saying I was like my intentions were ill, but it was just like it wasn't where it is now, which I'm so grateful for. But throughout that time, I was one of my best friends have actually helped. It's kind of ironic because we've been best friends since birth, and he's kind of the one who discipled me to show me more about Jesus for who he really is, rather than just like what people say. So it was really cool. We just got in the Word, and then I just like, man, there was just like we go into discipleship group, actually getting poured into and learning, and that really just changed my perception on like content. Like work is worship. This
Mhm.
is our vocation in Christ, and so it's like
Good,
I
bro.
think of as Colossians 3:23 is like whatever you do, work at it with your whole heart. It's working for the Lord, not for human masters. It's like, man, we're working for the Lord. Like whether I'm making some watermelon video, I'm doing this for the Lord. Whether I'm gonna
Yeah.
be cleaning up some chocolate in my some dried chocolate in my bowl, I'm doing this for the Lord. And so just like looking at it like that and kind of being like, man, praise God for just the ability to do this. Because I mean, like most people don't have this ability to make food online. Like this is a huge blessing. Like I'm I take it for granted so much, and that's why I need to be reminded constant. Like this is for the Lord. This is like what God has given me as of right now, and so I better steward this as well because like the whole goal on life is just to be good servants and good stewards and being obedient as best as possible. But yeah, that's just I think the way that I've seen content has dramatically changed rather than like I used to get so down like I was like, man, my content sucks. If like my video did like relatively bad, now it's like, okay, I learn. Like in life, there's not winners and losers, there's winners and learners. And
Mm.
so kind of in that in action, it's like, okay, wow, this is I guess this is what happens. So let me just kind of learn from this and take it and keep going. So
Wow, that was good, bro. That was a lot of good stuff. Actually, Colossians 3:23 is one of my favorite verses. And it's just it's so powerful, bro, because there was a large portion of my life before I came to Christ that it was about me. And I've always been a hard worker. I've always been really ambitious and really driven just because I grew up in a tough environment with a father who fell short of being a good leader and got into some things. And I just was like, man, like this is a guy I'm supposed to look up to as my hero. And again, I don't say this to shame him. I love my father for giving him, but I'm like, I don't want to live a life that falls short of all that is possible. And I got down this rabbit hole of just like, man, I want to have the most success I can have in every aspect of my life. I want to make the most money. I want to be the best basketball player. I want to attract the most beautiful women. Like I just want everything, every area of my life. I just want to be excellent. And then when I got humbled and I came to know Jesus and follow him, I was like, man, I was doing things. I was doing things that obviously didn't honor him in the sense of idolizing myself and my own actions, but at the same time, there is a spirit of excellence that he calls us to when we're submitted to him, and he is the only thing that matters. But I still believe that there is a call for us to work hard, to honor him, to do things with drive and with passion and with joy, and not just sit back, but do it in a way where he is everything and he's our all, and we're surrendered to him. But it's cool to hear your perspective on that because I think it really can drive you. And the other thing you said as you close that out was that, as you do have hurdles, as you do have obstacles, as things don't go your way, maybe you put a ton of time into a video and it doesn't hit the way you thought it would. How do you handle those things? Because no matter who's listening to this episode right now, they can apply this to whatever they're dealing with. You do social media content creation recipes. Maybe someone is building a business, or maybe they're doing something else and they're hitting a hurdle right now and they're like, why would I keep going? And it's truly, where do you build your foundation? Where are your values from? If it's to honor the Lord in everything you do, no matter what, we just have to keep pressing forward and win and learn.
dude, yeah, I mean, I think you touched on it too. Like having your house built on a rock, not on sand. I mean, when things do get shaky, I mean, if your house is built on sand, you're gonna go crashing down, man. And so it's like your faith is truly tested, even when you think that like, oh, everything's going downhill. Nope, not at all. Honestly, the more we're trusting the Lord and obeying, the more not necessarily not maybe externally, but the Lord's gonna bless us. And so that's sometimes where like even being in the Bible Belt, you see the prosperity gospel, it's just so dramatic. And like, sure, yes, God has blessed so many people, but it's like, man, the Lord can change someone's mind. Like, don't be conformed to the world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Like, I think of like God blessing us doesn't have to only be externally, but internally. But yeah, I'm just saying like keeping that house built on a rock is just that foundation so needs to be so tight on Jesus. So
Man, bro, one thing I've learned in life is that if you want to see how good God is, just look back at your life. Like
hmm,
just look back at
yeah,
the things that he's brought you through. Look back at the things that you've done that have been good, that have been challenging, but see him in every detail because dude, I do this all the time. I look back and I talk about this on the show and when I speak and I'm like, man, do I desire to grow up again? If I did it all again, do I desire to grow up with a father that was struggling with drugs, alcohol, the different challenges I went through with personal stuff, with basketball, all these different like, dude, it is the reason I'm in the place I am today because God brought me through it. He's taught me things. He's matured me. He's made me complete in certain areas of my life. So now I get to serve other people. Now I get to do things for him, to bring him glory, to bring him honor, to lead people to Jesus because of the things that I've gone through. And so like, bro, it's just I didn't mean to go off on that, but like
no,
you said something that triggered something in my spirit. I was like, man, there's so much to be said about when things don't actually turn out the way you thought they would, or the video flops. It's like there's always a lesson to be learned. And I love how you say there are winners and there are learners. There are people that can learn and mature and grow from these hard challenges because if you do it with the right mindset, with the right heart posture, you're going to develop yourself and be able to go back and help someone else through the lesson that you just learned.
come on, man. Also, by the way, that's not my quote. I don't know where I heard it, but like I just say it now. I'm like, I love it. So if anyone's yeah, Trey said that. Nope, I just remember that. So
Oh man, you got me fired up, bro. Well, you are so you touched on it a little bit with running, but tell us a little bit about that because like I know you have a background in athletics. Obviously, you're crushing content and making recipes, but outside of that, what are your hobbies? I know you're a very fast runner. You're not just a runner, you're very fast.
thanks, man. Well, I can tell a little bit of my running story and then kind of go into hobbies now. So I started running in seventh grade. That's actually where I met my girlfriend, soon to be fiance, which praise God about that.
Let's go, bro.
So I was running and that's kind of where I just kind of started running just for football and wrestling just to get in shape. And then kind of from there, I realized I was like, oh wow, I'm actually good at long distance. And so, going to like like the championships, winning a couple things, and then going into high school and then running faster. And then like just throughout that running, it was so funny because running initially started out like as a place just to get in shape for wrestling and football. Then it was like, okay, I'm gonna stop doing football. I'm gonna wrestle and then do cross country and track. And then after that, it was like, okay, after sophomore year, just doing cross country and track. And so from there, it was like, running. Like I think one of my best things is like I'm just grateful to be able to run. I think I ran like a 4:21 1600 meter. So it's like a little bit less than a 5K or a little
Wow.
bit less than a mile, which is awesome. But yeah,
Should
kind of going it was so awesome. But yeah, going into uh after graduating, I was thinking about going to run for college, but I realized I was like that's not really what I want. Later on, I dropped out of college. But from after graduating from high school, I realized that I was like, you know what, screw it. I'm just gonna like stop running and get massive just because my entire life I've been so skinny. And so, like I said, I went from like 135 to 180 in like 3 months. And it was like I'm not joking. Like, people are like, oh yeah, I ate 6,000 calories a day or like something like that.
yeah.
Oh man, I was eating it. It was so bad. My body was hurting all over. But yeah, I was trying to get swole, but then I realized I did not like it anymore. And so I started running marathons. So it was like an absolute 180, 180. But that's kind of what I've been doing now. I kind of mess around with it for fun. Like I just love running. Like running is like not necessarily clears my head, but it's just something that I like love doing. Like, man, I love to get out for a run. Obviously, when I'm waking up and before I go for a run, I do not like it. But like when I'm in like mile one, mile two, mile three, it's like it feels good. Um, but yeah, that's really like my hobbies are very low key. Like I run. Um, I'm moving into a house soon, so I've been trying to I'm trying to like um be able to be like an adult now, just because like I've been in like this like 18, 19, 20-year old stage. It's like I feel like I was just in this like kind of like I don't know, normal stage of life, but now it's like, okay, you're going into this. What's utilities? What's healthcare? What's taxes? And so it's like that's been, like my entire I guess mind lately. But I guess what I've been love doing, I love just hanging out with people. I know that sounds so like, oh yeah, blanket, like okay, you're just like hanging out. Like no, I've realized like I haven't been as intentional as I could have been my entire life. Like with like just like getting one-on-one, like hanging out with someone like for a cup of coffee, like just hanging out. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I've missed that. I've missed out on that on a huge part of my life. So I realized I just want to be more intentional and more patient and slow because that's one thing I'm not really. I think that I try to move, including like talking to, because I try to talk so fast. It's like, man, Trey, you gotta slow down. Like life is just like we have infinity years, Lord, with the Lord. So it's like, what's the point of like wasting this time right now trying to go as fast as possible? Because you're really not going to go fast. But it's what's that saying? It's like slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Yeah, something like that. I like that.
Funny you say that, bro. Nick actually said that on a run we were on when I
Really,
was in Nashville. Yeah.
it's legit.
Great minds
But
think alike. I love it. It's good though, man. That's good. I could take a page from that book, man. I feel like a lot of times I get going and that's I think that's one of the downfalls of being driven and ambitious. It's like, oh man, I need to probably be a little bit more intentional today and not so focused on building something for tomorrow. But there's definitely a balance to strike there, man. But I appreciate you sharing that because I think that is really valuable to talk about.
yeah, it's one thing that like I can say. I can always say that, but like living it out is like really difficult. I mean, just to being able to slow down, it's a gift. But yeah, man.
I love it, man. This has been such a fun episode. I've loved hearing your story, and I'm just again, just your passion and your joy is so evident, and it gets me going. What are you most excited about right now? Do you have any visions for projects you're working on, or where this is all going? Where are you taking this?
Yeah, so I'm honestly not sure when you're gonna be posting this, but like Lord willing, I plan to release a product in January of 2025. Like so people will know that, but it's kind of I'm not gonna say anything quite yet into specifics. But I'm so excited for that. That's kind of what I've been working on the past 8 months. Been going to some expos, talking to people because this industry, the product-based industry, like I don't know what I don't know. It's there's so many like nuances, so much to learn. But that's one of the biggest projects of my life the past couple months, but which I'm really excited about. But obviously, proposing to my girlfriend really soon,
Let's
which I'm so
go.
excited about. It's just like it doesn't feel real, man. Like just being able to, marry your best friend. Obviously, I'm not there yet, but just still like getting ready
Wow.
for all that, which is amazing.
Does she know it's coming?
She knows. She knows.
Oh,
Like
I was gonna
I
say, don't
can't
let her
keep
hear this episode.
I can't keep a lie at all. She's like, Trace, what are you doing? Because like I was prepping for like we went ring shopping and she was like, what are we doing? And I was like, oh, like I had to tell her just because I was freaking out. Um, but yeah, I'm pumped. It's surreal just because we've been running track together since seventh grade and all the
Wow,
way up until graduating. So yeah,
it's amazing. I'm happy for you, brother. That's so exciting.
let's go.
Let's go. Well, dude, this has been so fun, man. As we bring this thing to a close, man, is there any lesson or advice you just want to leave our community with today? I know you've shared so many wise things, so much wisdom and value today, but if there's one more thing you were just like, man, this is something I've learned through my journey, whether it's content, whether it's running, whether it's oats, whatever you want to do, man, I just want to give you an opportunity to share.
Yeah, like if this is a kind of very wide and broad, but like I just think being consistent with life. I mean, there's some days that are gonna be like not the best, some days that are gonna be amazing, but just being consistent with your day and like truly submitting to the Lord. I just think of like Proverbs, it's like the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. And so it's like we just need to be getting into the word more and just like having our life just full of worship rather than just like trying to work for ourselves and like being great stewards into this life. Because I mean, this is the earth is the Lord's and everything in it, man. So let's just live it out with the Lord. But yeah,
Amen, bro. Amen. Let's go. Well,
let's
man,
go.
I can't thank you enough for coming on the show today. I'm really excited to see you just continue to crush it, and I'm pumped for your soon engagement and this project you have going on you're prepping for next year. And hopefully we'll get to link up soon, get some runs in, maybe whip up some fire, some
Let's
oatmeal.
go,
And
dude.
man, I'm so grateful for you, dude. Seriously, thank you so much.
Dude, this podcast was awesome. So thank you so much, Doug.
Let's go.